Let us start with the invocation. I'll chant and please follow me. Shri Harim Paramanandam, Shri Harim Paramanandam, Upadeshtarameshwaram, Upadeshtarameshwaram, Vyapakam sarvalokanam, Vyapakam sarvalokanam, Karanam tam namamyaham, Karanam tam namamyaham. I bow down to him, Sri Hari, who is the supreme bliss, who is the first teacher, who is Ishvara, the Lord of all, who pervades everything, all the worlds, as the material cause. Him I salute. So we have started yesterday a short but intensive retreat based on this text, Aparokshanubhuti. And as I mentioned yesterday, it's a text of non-dual Vedanta. The framework is a framework of knowledge. Vedanta says, you are Brahman, the ultimate reality of the entire universe. And when we are told this, our immediate reaction is disbelief. We say, oh, me? No, not me. We look behind it. It means somebody else. Him, he's the cause of the entire universe. No, not me. We are always ready to believe bad things about ourselves. Astrology is very popular in India. So if somebody says, Saturn is very powerful, the astrologer says, Shani. Immediately say, oh, what do we have to do? Immediately believed. No doubt at all. You have to do these rituals, you have to do this puja, put on this amulet or something like that. Because you see, what is the proof? Things are going badly for you. Yeah, you are right. Things are going badly for most people. That's a self-fulfilling prophecy. And most people are unhappy. So they say, yeah, things are going badly for me. Correct. Then Shani, Saturn must be the cause. And we are ready to do this and that to take care of Shani. But somebody comes and tells you, you are Brahman. Not me. Immediately disbelief. Teacher comes and tells you, the texts tell you, God tells you, whoever tells you, we are not ready to believe. So, knowledge about ourselves. We do not know what we are, and Vedanta claims makes this startling claim. Actually, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to go anywhere. Remember yesterday we talked about it? You don't have to go anywhere, like heaven or anywhere, any other place. You can go, there's no problem, but you don't have to find God. You don't have to wait till such and such time, after death, after enlightenment, after the second coming of Jesus Christ, or after the next avatar comes, whatever. No time, there's no gap in time, there's no gap in space, there's no gap in object also, it's not something else other than you. So the real I, what's real about me, that has to be investigated. That is the path of knowledge. So when we are studying say, if you are studying Naradiya Bhakti Sutra, then the framework should be in your mind, the path of bhakti, devotion, faith, love. We are learning about that. If you are studying Patanjali Yoga Sutra, then the framework in your mind should be about meditation. Right? Entirely different philosophical framework. But when we are studying an Advaita Vedanta text, the framework should be that we are investigating. We are looking for an understanding, a deeper understanding about ourselves. So, what's the form of this investigation? In 12th verse, it is said, those who have the book, you can take a look. 12th verse says, Koham kathamidam jatam kovai kartasya vidyate upadanam kimastiha vichara soyam idrisha. This is the form of inquiry. Vichara soyam idrisha. This is the form of inquiry. What is the form of inquiry? Koham, who am I? Kadamidam jatam. Where did all of this I'm experiencing? Where does all of this come from? See, one thing notice, all our experience, everybody's experience, all our experience, throughout from our very from the earliest memories till now, every experience has the same structure. You are the experiencer and there is something that you experience. Subject and object. That's the structure of every experience. Isn't it true? So look, these are the two questions. Koham, who am I, the experiencer? 12th verse. Who am I, the experiencer? Katham idam jatam, and what is all this which I am experiencing? So these are the two questions basically. And that what is all this I am experiencing? What is the cause behind all of this? Kovai kartasi. Who is the efficient cause or intelligent cause behind all of this? Nimitta karana. Upadanam kim asti. What is the stuff of this universe? That's basically the inquiry of science actually. What's the reality, the stuff of this material universe? Here we're going even deeper. Is there an intelligence behind this? And what is the stuff of this entire universe? So this is the form of inquiry. In Vedanta, Advaita Vedanta, the inquiry begins with you. So actually, Vedanta is always about you. I always say Vedanta is the most interesting subject. Why? What is the most interesting subject in the world for us? I, me, myself. So Vedanta is all, beginning to end, it is about you. It's not a boring philosophy book which you are learning. You're actually learning about yourself. So the inquiry starts with I, myself. Who am I? What am I? I attended something called a philosophy cafe in Manhattan recently, just before I left. I saw the announcement that the 5 great unsolved questions in philosophy. So I thought I should go and attend. And you know, what are the questions? 5 great unsolved questions in philosophy. What are the 5 great questions? One is, do we have free will? Second is, can we know anything at all? Question about those who know philosophy. You know, it's an epistemological question. It's a question about skepticism. Third one is, who am I? Who am I? This thing. Fourth one is, what is death? Death not death to what is a physiological death which is of interest to a doctor, but death to us as a conscious person, a sentient being. What exactly is death to me? And the last one was about justice. But do you notice the first 4 questions? Free will, knowledge, who am I, death, they all circle around the central point of consciousness, awareness, consciousness. Do you see that? Anyway, so these are the questions. So one of the questions was, who am I? That's one of the great unsolved questions of philosophy. And remember, this is an entirely Western philosophical context. If you're wondering, in case, who gets to decide which are the 5 great unsolved, who says that these are the 5? It's Oxford University Press actually. If you Google it, you'll find they have a blog and they have sort of, actually it's once in a while they put up these things to boost philosophy a little bit. People get interested. Oh, these are ancient questions for thousands of years. But anyway, who am I? And to refine the question a little deeper, who am I is actually not the real question. What Vedanta is investigating. It's more, what am I? Because especially today in America, if you say, who am I? The question being asked is more of, am I a budding artist? Am I somebody who's going to do social work? Or am I a musician? What kind of person am I? Am I a good person or an evil person? Who am I basically deals with the person and its potentialities. That's the question. You know, I'm on a trip. Why have you dropped out of college? I'm on a trip to discover myself. So is this person studying Vedanta? No. That's a quest. That's a quest. That quest is not wrong. But from the Vedantic point of view, what is this person doing? This person is investigating the potentials and what is lying in that person's mind. This technically Sukshma Sharira, the subtle body. What is in the subtle body? The talents, the potentialities, the intelligence, creativity. That's what this person is trying to discover. But that's not the Vedantic quest. The Vedantic quest goes deeper. Not who am I as a person, but what am I beyond the person also. What underlies this very existence? What is the reality about this thing? So that's the question. What am I? So we start there. Vedanta holds that we are profoundly mistaken about ourselves, that we really do not know what we are. What we think about ourselves, the moment you say, what am I know what I am. I'm a human being. I am this person. Swami Sarvapriyananda, I can prove it. I've got like a DMV identity card or my passport or my biodata or whatever. I can show this is the kind of person I am. This is the person I am. But we go deeper than that. Vedanta claims that's not true. We really do not know what we are. Sri Ramakrishna used to tell the story of a washerman. The traditional washerman in India would take your clothes to the river bank and then sort of beat your clothes on the rocks and scrub and then dry it and pack it and bring it back to your house. That was before washing machines were common. Now this poor washerman, he found a rock. It was actually a big diamond, but he didn't know what a diamond was. And he thought it's a nice shiny rock and he can scrub clothes with it. So he used it for scrubbing clothes. Until one day he thought, this seems to be a strange kind of stone. So let me ask my friend, the vegetable seller, who's wiser than me. So he goes to the vegetable seller, and the vegetable seller looks at the diamond and says, yeah, it seems nice and shiny. Okay, if you give this rock to me, he doesn't even know exactly what it is, but he thinks it's valuable. I'll give you a bag full of brinjals, or potatoes or something like that. Luckily, the washerman did not agree. He thought I should investigate this further. He was a budding Vedantist actually. So he goes and asks, finally, the story is that he finally goes to a diamond merchant who sees the rock and he says, this is the biggest, finest diamond I've seen in my life. And so, I'll give you $1,000,000 rupees for it. And so the washerman, all his troubles were at an end. He became rich and, he had a good life thereafter. All because of that rock, which he always had, but he did not know what he had. Exactly like that, we have that diamond. We have that thing with us which can solve every problem of our lives. Really, that is the claim. Transcend all sorrow. We can overcome all sorrow in our life. We can attain what we are seeking for, profound happiness and peace. And what we need to do that is nothing more than ourselves, which we always have. But like that diamond, we don't know. Like a washerman, we don't know what we have. So you know what we use it for? We have it. But we use it for, like we used it for scrubbing clothes, we use it for seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching. We use it for fighting, hating, loving. We use it for desiring. We use it for being unhappy. We use it for being depressed. We use it for committing suicide. I'm talking about consciousness, awareness. We have it, open secret, but we don't know what we have. So this actually tells us, introduces us to ourselves so that we may for the first time know ourselves as we truly are. So this just tells us what we already have. No big deal there. This is a big deal. The way we think in Sanatana Dharma is that this is the culmination of all religion and philosophy. Ultimately, all your faith and worship and moral practices and meditation and this technique and that technique and all of that finally brings you here. This is some kind of dry philosophy. Alright, take your time. Try this yoga, this meditation, that meditation. Try this. I found this guru and this God in this kind of form, which is very appealing to me. Go ahead. When you mature enough, maybe in another lifetime, you'll come back here, basically. Everybody ultimately has to come to some form, maybe not to Aparokshanubhuti, but to some form of this. So it is a big deal. We are what we really are. So what is the method? The method is an investigation into who am I. That's what's going to start. Now from this verse number 17 onwards, this thing starts and goes on to verse number, basically verse number 33 or so. But we have no time to do all of that. What I'm going to do is, in a very compact way, I'm going to summarize the teachings. I'm going to give you the teachings, summarize it, basically pointing out the diamond which you have. I'm going to summarize the teaching in a very packed way right now. How do you use these teachings? The method in Vedanta is threefold. Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. Literally it means hearing, reflecting, meditating. It's like this. It's very simple actually. It's just like yesterday I was saying, you sign up for a course in a college. So first you need to hear the professor teaching in the class. Study the text systematically. That's the first one. There's a technical definition of each of these steps, but I'm not telling you that. I'm giving you the practical what to do actually. So the first step, hearing or Shravana, is systematically studying Vedanta. That includes, of course, coming to class, and even if it's a hot day and a packed retreat, but still, that is the first step. And congratulations, it's not, in Vedanta, it's not that you hear this and go back and start practicing something. This hearing which you are doing right now, you've already begun practice, so congratulations, you're already on your way. We're on our way. First step is hearing these teachings, studying it systematically. Hearing also, let me share this. I learned it from, I read it in a book by a Lama, Tibetan Lama. So they undergo rigorous training when they learn Tibetan Buddhism. Earlier in Tibet, nowadays in India now. They have their monasteries. So this Tibetan Lama has written, how do you hear? I was amazed to see. They said that the way to learn Tibetan Buddhist philosophy, the 3 stages, are hearing, reflecting and meditating. I said, that sounds familiar. How do you hear? He says, when we started our study, our instructor came and told us about hearing. How do you listen? He says, you must hear or listen. How not to listen. How not to listen. You must not listen like an upside down pot, dirty pot, leaky pot. So, 3 kinds of pots. Don't listen like an upside down pot. What happens to an upside down pot? If you pour water, it rolls up. Nothing goes in. So you come out of a retreat, intensive retreat, attended a non-dual Vedanta retreat. That sounds cool. What did you learn? I don't know really. I don't remember much. Upside down pot. The idea is you should be able to say after the class, basically this is what the teacher said or this is what the text says. Earlier they used to make us memorize. The traditional system was to memorize. But even if you don't memorize, you should be able to give a fair summary of what was taught in the class. Don't be an upside down pot. Second, don't be a dirty pot. What's a dirty pot? I'm here to find fault. Why am I here? I know what the guy is going to say, it's wrong. And so I'm going to find out the faults in what he's saying. Don't come like that. Do you ever go to a class, so you're going to a physics class or a math class, and do you go to the class with the attitude the professor is a liar, and the textbooks are all, false, fake news, so textbooks are all wrong? Do you do that? Never. You never do that. You will never learn anything that way. So that's being a upside down, that's being a dirty pot. Yes, does that mean you will not question? Of course you must question. You must ask questions. But the questions are for understanding. I don't get what the teacher said. I don't get what's written here. Let me question and try to understand. Of course you must ask questions. Questions are meant for inquiry, not for cutting down somebody else. So don't listen like a dirty pot. And then don't listen like a leaky pot. Leaky pot. So whatever you pour, it goes out. You must be able to retain the teaching, hold the teaching. Okay. That's hearing. Then reflecting. See, after hearing, when do you know the stage of hearing is over? The stage of hearing is over when you can say, I know what the teacher said or what the book said. First stage over. Then what's the problem? The problem now is, I know what the teacher said, but I have these questions. I don't get it. These are the problems I've got. So now you're in the second stage, where you ask questions and clarify. Where is the second stage over? The second stage is over when you can say, I know what the teachings are. Now I'm convinced. I get it. So what else remains? What remains is, Vedanta says you are Brahman. You are not this body and mind, you are pure consciousness with a body and mind. But having understood that, I still don't feel I've understood it, but it doesn't feel like a living truth. I cannot shake off the habits of my life. I still react to the world in the same way I was reacting. I'm still suffering. See, the whole selling point was, you will overcome suffering. You will find deep peace and joy. I have not found deep peace and joy. I cannot overcome suffering. So that problem still remains. What Vedanta promised, they have not delivered yet. So the third stage is where what I have learned, what I am now convinced about, stage 1, stage 2, what I am now convinced about, I make it a living reality. I assimilate it by meditating upon it till it becomes fact for me, real for me. That is enlightenment. So 3 stages: hearing, reflecting, meditating. Shravana, Manana, Nitithyasana. So we are now in and the first stage is the most important. The hearing stage is the most important. The other 2 follow. Alright, having said all of that, let me get into it. It is now 4:30. Okay. We will not do it verse by verse. Let me give you the teachings in a very packed way, concentrated, powerful way, and then let's interact, ask questions about it, clarify. When I ask, what are we? Who am I? What am I? Our first reaction is, I am the body. So you have to start with the body. Any good teacher will start where the student is. So normally our reaction is, I'm this. We point to this. The Vedanta asks, so this you mean by this you mean the body? Yes, I'm the body. Let's start there. Am I the body? And Vedanta says, no, you are not the body. Careful, Vedanta does not deny, at least initially, that there is a body. But it says that you are not the body. You are not something limited by the body. You are not something that is the body only. Why? The way Vedanta does it is, it will point out certain reasons to you. What I'll give you now are arguments given by the Vedanta masters. These arguments are intellectual arguments, no doubt. But the way to use them is, first of all, hear, so understand what is being said, clarify, get clarity about the argument. At the second stage, you must be able to intellectually grasp the argument. First, hear the argument. You should at least be able to tell me back the argument, the essence of the argument. Then second stage is to understand it. That means intellectually grasp it. You must be able to say, okay, I get what you are trying to say. Third step is, it is real, it's a fact. So questions would be, what did I say? Stage 1. You should be able to answer, you said this. Second question would be, do you get it? You should be able to say, yeah, I get it, I'm clear about it. Third is it a fact? You should be able to say it's a fact. Alright. So the first pointer, these are arguments, but I'd like to call them pointers, because they're pointing to something that's a fact right now. You are not the body, because of what reason? How am I not the body? Here is a pointer. The body changes. It does. From babyhood to childhood to teenage to middle age to old age, look at the body, how it has changed. It has grown. There is a saying that the body undergoes 6-fold changes. Jayate, born. And having been born comes into existence. That's a new way of putting it, but that's how they put it. So, first change is it is born. Second is that it was not there, the body was not there, at least in that form. So it is now there. So the second change is it is asti, jayate, asti. It is in existence now. Then it develops, baby and an infant and a child and a teenager, vardhate. Then fourth one, it reaches maturity. Viparinamate, you are in your 40s maybe. Viparinamate, it reaches a peak, plateau sort of. After 40, it's all the way down. Whatever you may think. This culture does not accept it. You fight against it. That's why it's very, very health conscious, and it's good. It should be like that. But no matter how much gluten free you do, how much yoga you do, after 40, it's all the way down. If you do it, it's not bad. You should do it. When you're managing the decline, that's basically what you're doing. If you don't do it, it will deteriorate much faster. But with all the gluten-free and yoga and all of that, what you naturally had when you were 21 years old, that with all that effort also you still never come up to that level of resiliency ever. So anyway, apakshiyate, deterioration, and inevitably nashyati, death. Body goes through these changes, and yet you claim without any doubt at all, I was that baby, I was that teenager in the class photography, I was that's me. How can you be the same if the body is continuously changing? How can the unchanging you and the changing body be one and the same? How can change and not change be the same? Think about it. First of all, see the logical impossibility of it. Second, see it as a fact. When you see it intellectually, yes, here is an unchanging entity, here is a changing entity. How can change and not change be the same? They cannot be the same. Second, see it internally as a psychological fact. I feel the same. I feel the same. A nun in our Santa Barbara convent, she told me that sometime back she was passing before a shop window and she saw her reflection. She thought for a moment, she said, I thought for a moment, who's that old lady? Because in our mind we don't age actually that way. We still feel there are many things back in our childhood, in our youth, which are very vivid to us. It's just like it was yesterday. And there are lots of things in between which we have completely forgotten. So, mentally we still think of ourselves as the same person. And the body changes tremendously. It changes tremendously. Unstoppably. Savikara, nirvikara. Nirvikara, savikara. Nirvikara, unchanging. Savikara, changing. Hence, not the body. One. I can give you several arguments. Let me give you 5 now. 5 pointers / arguments. I'll give you 5 now. I'm just summarizing what's there in many of these verses. 1. Nirvikara, savikara. I am the unchanging, whatever I am, relatively unchanging. And the body clearly is changing. I can't be the body. Second, I have often used this, drashta drishya, the seer and the seen, the experiencer and the experienced. Right? Drishya Vivek, I have taught this. Those who have heard these talks, you know. That the experiencer and the experienced cannot be the same thing. You are looking at this book. You're seeing this book. Your eyes are the seer and the book is the seen object. Your eyes are the drashta and the book is the drishya. Drishya means what is seen. Drashta means that which sees. Clearly they're different. The seer and the seen are different. Aren't they different? They're different. The experiencer and the experienced are 2 different entities. Whatever you see must be different from the eyes. In fact, the only thing the eyes cannot see are the eyes themselves. You're with me here? Not just the eyes, all the sense organs, the mind itself, all of what we experience is different from the experiencer. Now look at the body. Is the body experienced? Of course. You can see the body, hear it, taste it, touch it. If it's very hot and sweaty, you can smell it also. So all of these, the body is an object to your sense organs. It is drishya. You are the drashta, the knower. Clearly you are the knower of the body. So, knower and the known, the seer and the seen cannot be the same. You are the experiencer of the body is something which you experience, clearly it must be different. Drashta and drishya, therefore you cannot be the body. Understand the argument and then try to see it as a fact. Yeah, I can see it, whatever I am, but I can't be this thing. Third, it is related to the second one. You are conscious and the body is not conscious. What do I mean by that? It's a subtle point for a very beautiful and elegant argument, and a very beautiful and elegant pointer to the nature of yourself and the body. How does it work? When you look at the body, clearly awareness is on your side and not on the body side. What I mean by that is, you are aware of the body is not aware of you. Try it directly here. This technique I often share it. It's actually given by Greg Good, who is a counselor, a qualified psychologist, and very much interested in Vedanta. He studied Vedanta in New York. He uses a lot of Vedanta in his counseling. So anyway, he gives this experiment. We designed it. He said, that just look at your hand. Look at it right now. Look at your hand. Look at it. Don't be shy. Go ahead. Look at it. It's your hand. Look at it. And note the quality of the experience. Does it feel like I am looking at the hand, or does it feel like my hand is looking at me? I am looking at my hand. I am aware of the hand. Is it not so?
Yes.
Is the hand aware of me? Not that I'm aware of. Doesn't feel like that. What does that particular experience feel like? It feels like I am aware of the hand, right? On which side of this experience is awareness? There or here? Here, on my side. Awareness is on my side, and this is an object of awareness. Okay. What's the point? What is true of you watching your hand is true of every part of the body. This hand, that hand, legs and belly and chest and head, all of them, you are aware of them. They are not aware of you. And what is the body except a collection of these parts? So the body, which is a collection of parts, individually or collectively not aware of you. You are something, whatever you are aware of the body, very clearly. So the body is not conscious or aware, you are aware. Do you see the point? Awareness is on your side, not on the side of the body. The argument is in Sanskrit, chit jara. Jara means insentient. Chit means aware, conscious, sentient. You are chit, consciousness, awareness, sentient. The body is jara, inert, insentient. Not as an argument, it's a fact. How can the two be the same? How can the two be the same? Third. Fourth one. There's many actually, I'm giving you only 5. The fourth one is very, very simple. The body is composed of many parts. Body is composed of many parts. Clearly, there are the organs and there are the living organs. You go further down, living tissues, and the tissues go further down the scale. There are the cells and then subcellular structures. So the body is composed of many, many parts. Not only changing, but composed of many parts. And you, whatever you are one. Nobody thinks of himself or herself as a committee. He always thinks, I am one unit. One what we don't know, but it's a unit, a single. And the body is clearly a collection, a system, a collection. Now you, psychologically, you think of yourself as a single unit, and the body as a collection, as a system. The ekam and anekam, how can one and the many be the same thing? How can one, single, even people with multiple personality disorder, MPD, multiple personality disorder, at any time they are one personality. They are not all the personalities at the same time. So one, you always think of yourself as one entity, and the body is a collection of entities. Ekam anekam, one, many. How can they be the same thing? How can you and the body be the same thing? Fourth. Fifth. Alright, let's take this one. Saguna nirguna. The body has many characteristics. The body has many characteristics. Tall, short, brown, white, skinny, overweight, healthy, sick, old, young, whatever. All kinds of characteristics, male, female, they all belong to the body. And make a remarkable claim. You do not have any characteristics. Nirguna. What do you mean? Say, no, I have so many characteristics. Think about it. Any characteristic that you point to will be a characteristic of the body or the mind. There is a logical reason why you, the self, it's very elegant actually. There is a logical reason why you, the self, cannot have any characteristics or attributes. Why? What is the logical reason? Follow this. If you have an attribute, you should be able to know about it or speak about it, at least refer to it in some way. And if you can refer to it, speak about it, then it becomes an object and you are the knower of the object. It must be different from you. Drashta and Drishya. Did you get it?
Yes.
I'll repeat. The knower and the known must be different. If you have an attribute, whatever you are, if you have an attribute, then you must know it. If you don't, I have an attribute but I don't know it, there's no use speaking about it. So I have an attribute and I know it. If I know it, then I am something different from the attribute. It can't be my attribute. It must be an attribute of the body. It's tall or skinny. Or an attribute of the mind. That I have a keen memory. It's an attribute of the mind, a property of the mind. I know it. Hence, it's not the property or the attribute of the knower. You, the knower, are attributeless, nirguna. And all the attributes which you apply to yourself, everything that you say about yourself, is either an attribute of the body or of mind. By mind, I mean, I'm using a general sense. Technically, it would be called sukshma sharira, subtle body. That personality. It's an attribute of the person, an attribute of the body, or an attribute of your, part of your life story, what you attribute. Life story is the life story of the body and the mind. Not you, the knower. You are free of all attributes. That which is free of attributes and that which has attributes, how can they be the same? How can you, the nirgunam, be the body which is sagunam? Sagunam means with quality. Okay, that will do for now. Because of these 5 pointers, 5 arguments, but actually deeper, if you look at it, there are 5 pointers. I'm pointing at a fact. Because of these 5, if you're going, wait a minute, I forgot, what were the first 4? Nitya, Anitya, or that, and let's not use Nitya, Anitya. Nirvikara, Savikara, unchanging, changing. I, the unchanging, and the body changing. How can I be the body? 1. Second, drashta, drishya. I, the knower, observer, seer. How can I be the body which is known, observed, seen? Not just seen, touched, tasted, smelled, heard, whatever. Third, chit, jada. I, the sentient. How can I be the body which is not sentient? I am aware of the body. The body is not aware of me. So, chit, jada. Fourth is ekam manekam. I always think of myself as one, a unit. A unit of what, I don't know, but a unit. And the body is clearly not a unit, it's a conglomeration. It's a collection. How can it be the same? How can one and the collection be the same? And the fourth one, and the fifth one is saguna, nirguna. Nirguna, saguna. I am without attributes. Apply that kind of logical procedure to see that you are without attributes. And the body has so many attributes. For these reasons, nirvikara, savikara, drashta, drishya, chit, jada, ekam, anekam, and nirguna, saguna. For these reasons and others also, these pointers and others also, I am not the body. You will say, you can't argue yourself out of the body. No, you cannot. But the claim here is, you never wear the body. What you can argue yourself out of is a confusion. Letting go does not mean you will float away like after a Vedanta class, like a puff of cloud out of the body, you will float away. Not like that. You will realize that all that you realize now is, if you do this, that it's not that I am a body with a little bit of awareness being generated somewhere here. No. I am awareness and I am aware of a body. I am aware of being in a body, embodied. I am aware of using a body. All of that I am aware of, but I am not the body itself. Does that sound reasonable?
Yes.
What is applicable to the body is equally applicable to the mind. Remember, the Vedantic analysis of the human personality is trichotomous, threefold. What are the three components? Physical body, subtle body. I'm not talking about the causal body. There's something called the causal body also, and the Atman. Instead of talking about the causal body, it's a technical point, I'm dropping that. But basically the things which need to concern us right now are the physical body, subtle body, and the real you, Atman. What has happened to us is, I have forgotten the real me, which is right here. And I have mixed it up with the physical body and the subtle body. What is the subtle body? What is the physical body? I hope nobody is confused. What is this physical body is talking about? This one, what you can see, what you weigh. That is the physical body. What is the subtle body? Right now, if you look inside, you will feel a person. Thoughts, memories, ideas, desires, likes, dislikes. So that, the ego, I, that's all of that together is called the subtle body. In Vedanta, it is analyzed, called Sukshma Sharira, and it's supposed to have three components. Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha. I'm not going into the details, there's no time here. So these are the components of the subtle body. Beyond that, I am the witness consciousness. So this is the idea of the analysis of the personality in Vedanta. It is not theory. The way to handle Vedanta is to look at it and apply it right now. Physical body, here, check. Subtle body, look inside. Check. Witness of that, the experiencer of these two, the user of these two, that's who I am, apart from them. Now use these as pointers to see this as a fact. We have embraced them and we have forgotten that we are something apart from them. Putting on the glasses, I've forgotten the glasses are there at all. The body is like the glasses. It has its use, but it's not me. That nice story about, the student went to a master, I want freedom. The master said, okay, I will give you freedom, moksha. But first, he put the student to work. His master is to live in a cave, and the student has to sweep the cave and cut wood for the fire, and go to the village and beg for food. This went on for a month till the student grew increasingly annoyed. He said, you're just using me like a servant. When are you going to give me freedom? If you don't give me freedom, I'll go away. I'll go to another master. The master thought, I've got a nice student, I shouldn't let him go. So he said, come tomorrow. I'll give you freedom tomorrow in the morning. So this guy was very happy. Next morning he came very happy up to the mountain where the master was living, the hill. And outside the cave there was this big old tree. And he saw the master standing there, clutching the tree with all his might and shouting, free me, free me. And the student said, but master, just let go. And the master said, precisely. But how do you let go? Let go is inside. Let go is inside. So we are not really tired that way. You know the story of the donkey. I've told the story. What Vedanta says is actually you're not tied. All of this, the procedure, if you're not tied to the body, then what is all this? This untying you from the body, it's basically showing you that you are confused, that you are the body mind. It's showing you that you always were separate. This will not separate you from the body. But you are separate. It just shows you that you are. You are the driver of the car. You're not a part of the car. You reach your destination and the guy is not coming out of the car. Step out of the car. What do you mean? I am the car. How can I step out of myself? You are not. So the story of the donkey, that washerman, the same washerman, he's come back again. He usually has a donkey in which he collects the clothes from different houses and he takes it to the river, and then he spends the whole day there washing it, drying it, folding it, loading it on the donkey and bring it back home. Next day he would distribute it back to you. Now this washerman, he goes to the river and he finds that he forgot to get the rope with which to tie the donkey. Now this is a big problem because then otherwise he has to go back to the house and get the rope. The whole day will be wasted. And if he doesn't have the rope, the donkey will wander off and he's a poor man. That's the end. What's he going to do? A wise person is walking by and this man says, oh sir, I'm in so much trouble, what can I do? And this wise man, gentleman, he says, no problem. You just go near the donkey and pretend to tie it. Pretend to tie it to the tree. Will that work? Yes, why don't you see? And he goes near the donkey and he pretends to take out a rope and put it on the donkey. Donkey is watching like and he ties it on the neck and ties it to the tree. All pretend. There's no rope at all. And donkey stands still watching. And this guy, he unloads the clothes and goes to the river, keeps looking back at the donkey, and donkey also looks back at him. Absolutely not moving. And all day long he finishes his work and the donkey doesn't move. And next in the evening he packs all the clothes, puts in the donkey and says, okay donkey, let's go. And the donkey doesn't move. Yeah, but if he is really tied up, he could untie him. But it's not tied up. Now what can he do? So he is in great trouble. He rushes to this gentleman's house. Sir, you put me in so much trouble. What black magic is this? The donkey is not moving. And the man said, well, it's simple. Just pretend to untie him. Will that work? Why don't you see? He goes there and he goes near the donkey and pretends to untie the rope from the tree and the donkey's neck, and the donkey is watching. It's the donkey, let's go. And the donkey moves. Vedanta is basically doing that, this whole process of untying the donkey. We are not tied to this body. Swami Vivekananda said, let go thy hold, sannyasi hold. Thine only is the hand that holds the rope which drags thee on. It's not so easy actually. We are holding it onto it for dear life. But these pointers, they are showing us the difference. If the intellect is convinced, to begin with, if the intellect is convinced, a light shines upon those darkness, where for lifetimes we have not investigated. Lifetimes we have carried on in this way. Light begins to shine for the first time in who knows how many lifetimes. That we are not this. This will go on to its inevitable end, not my end. Okay. So, because of these 5 reasons, same reasons, not only body, these same reasons apply to the mind also. To you, the person, the personality. I have said this earlier, the word person itself means mask. Did I tell you? That it comes from the Greek word persona. They used to perform these dramas in ancient Greece. They didn't have a microphone and sound system. So they would have these big masks of the different characters in the drama. They would hold it in front of them. And there would be holes in these masks. And they would shout out their dialogue through the holes. Sona means sound. Persona means through which sound came. Basically a mask of that particular character which he or she was playing. He was playing, basically men would do that. So that's where the personality, the word, has come from. And we make so much of it, not knowing that it means a mask. It's not who you are. We all know that. Those who do Facebook, they know very well. Facebook personality is one thing and real life is I'm getting it second hand. I'm not. There is a Facebook thing for me, but I never use it. So there's nothing there actually, basically. But those who do that, they say that yes, everybody tries to put forward their best foot forward on Facebook. I'm so happy, so nice, everything's fine. I have so many likes. Mask. It's a mask. It's a personality. So whatever applies to the body applies to the mind also, to the personality also. First one, changing, unchanging, nirvikara, savikara. Does the mind change? Yes. Oh, why it does? From the morning till now, how many times happy and sad, and maybe not sad, at least irritable and relaxed, bored and excited, energetic and tired, curious, wanting something, satiated, relaxed, angry. How many times from just this morning till now? And the story of our days, just like that, the mind changes so much. And yet notice, I was the irritated person, I am the calm person. It's not that somebody else was irritated and somebody else is calm. I'm the same person. Then the same person and the changing mind, how can it be the same? The personality keeps changing. The mind daily changes and the personality itself changes over time. How can I be the same as my changing mind, my changing personality? Second argument, tell me. Tell me. Seer and seeing, drashta and drishya. Can you see the mind? Not physically see. Can you know the mind? No, yeah, of course you can. There's a word for it, introspection. See, you always know the mind. When you say, I'm happy, what do you mean? There's a feeling of happiness in your mind. You never say that there's a lot of happiness in my mind, but I don't feel it. That sounds silly. My mind is very, very depressed, but I don't feel it. That sounds very silly. How can you be depressed and not feel it? So you know your mind. You experience your mind. Mind is something experienced, and you're the experiencer of the mind. Experiencer, experienced. Drashta, drishya. How can you be the mind? Third. Chit jara. Sentient, insentient. Now this is something to be understood. It's a bombshell. Normally, if there is anything that we take to be sentient, it is the mind. Vedanta is a strange philosophy. It says even the mind is not sentient. And I can prove it to you. I can prove it to you right now. Even the mind is not conscious. Consciousness is there. You, the consciousness, are there in the mind like a light, lighting it up, revealing the thoughts. But the thoughts themselves are not conscious. Very simple. Try this experiment. The simplest thought. Think a thought. The strange thing about the mind is, it's always thinking thoughts. And when you ask it to think a thought, it won't think anything. Swami, mind is blank. Alright, I will give you a thought. 2 plus 2 is 4. Think that thought. 2 plus 2 is 4. Say it to yourself in mentally, 2 plus 2 is 4. Now, that 2 plus 2 is 4 is a thought, right? No? It's a thought. Ask yourself this question. Were you aware of 2 plus 2 4, or was 2 plus 2 4 aware of you?
I was aware.
Let's look. Any thought? You are aware of the thought, right? Is the thought aware of you?
No.
Hey, this guy is thinking me again. No, that sounds ridiculous. It never happens. Thoughts are movements in the mind which you are aware of. I am aware of the movements in my mind. 2 plus 2, 4. I want this. I like that. I don't like that. I remember this. I cannot remember that. All of these, I am Swami. All of these are thoughts. I am aware of them. They are not aware of me. Clearly, you are conscious of the mind. The mind is not conscious of you. Chit jara. Even the mind is insentient. We talk about the conscious mind and subconscious mind because when you are conscious of the mind, it's like a light lighting up the mind. So there is consciousness in the mind. But the mind itself is not conscious. This room is not actually luminous. It's the bulbs in the room which are luminous, giving light. Okay. Give me one more argument. Why am I not the mind? Ekam anikam. Does the mind have parts? Oh, you bet it does. There are different functions. If you think about memory, ego, intellect, emotions, so many different aspects of the mind. Think of them as different components of the subtle body. That's how, in fact, Vedanta thinks of it. And you are the same one who uses the intelligence in the mind, who identifies with the ego in the mind, who uses the memory in the mind to bring back old memories, who uses the emotions, who feels the emotions in the mind. None of them. And so that you are one, and there are so many. One many. What was one last one? Do you understand? All the attributes in the mind. I am a happy person. I am a happy person. Be careful there. Vedanta would say, where is the happiness? Are you aware of your happiness? Yes. So it's a part of the subtle body of the mind. You are the attributeless awareness, aware of the attribute of the mind. The happiness as an attribute of your mind. Instead of saying all of that, it sounds complicated, you say, I'm a happy person. Okay. It's like somebody, the people have different sports teams here. I'm a Lakers guy. Which basically means you support a team called the Lakers. You are not the Lakers. Okay. That was not a good example. Anyway, whatever, you get the point. Because of these reasons, the same reasons, I am not the mind. I am not the mind. I am not the body, I am not the mind. In more technical language, I am not Sthula Sharira, physical body. I am not Sukshma Sharira, subtle body. I am not the body or the mind. I am not the Annamaya Kosha, the sheath made of food. I am not the Pranamaya Kosha, the vital sheath. I am not the Manomaya Kosha, the mind sheath. I am not the Vijnanamaya Kosha, the intellect, sheath of the intellect. Even this which I am doing right now, which we are all doing, the thinking, that is the intellect sheath. I am not that because I am aware of it. Because it changes. Does the intellect not change? I did not understand, now I understand. It changed. All the 5 reasons apply to it. This is knowledge, then I am something apart from the body and mind. But what can I say about myself? I can say those things. That I am awareness. I am the knower. The witness. I am unchanging. I am one. I am attributeless. I can say these things about myself. This one consciousness, unchanging, which enables all the knowing, feeling, doing of the body mind, that one is the Atman, is the self. Apart from the body, apart from the mind. This is knowledge. Let me at least read a few verses. Once you have come to this point, the text says, Shankaracharya says, verse 24. I'll quickly go through a few verses which points out what you have found now. What we have found right now about yourself, the real self. 24, verse 24. Brahmevaham samashanta sajjidananda lakshana naham deho yasadrupo jnanam ityuchyate buddhehi. Buddhehi, by the wise masters of Advaita, this is called real knowledge. What is real knowledge? Brahmevaham, I am Brahman. Oh, when did I become Brahman? This one which you have found, Samaha, same all throughout. No change there. Shantaha, Samashanta, peaceful, peace itself. Where is disturbance? In the body, in the mind, in the emotions, in the memory, there is disturbance. I have this gentleman in the New York, in the Vedanta Society in Manhattan, Bill. He is 95 years old. And he's a World War II veteran. He used to fly bombers in the Pacific War. He's been there since 1955. And he is a tough guy. I remember a book written a long time ago, 1970, 71, 72 at that time, a book in which somebody who visited the Vedanta Society narrates something going on in the Vedanta Society at that time. And this lady, she met Bill at that time. It's written, I met Bill Conrad, who is a retired biophysicist, and he is not well, so he does not work regularly. I was thinking, persons who wrote this, although other persons she mentions at that time, Bill is not well. And the other persons who were around at that time, they are dead and gone. Bill is still around. So anyway, just before I came here, Bill was saying to me, I can't remember so well now, Swami. The memory is slowing down. 95. I said, you're doing well, don't worry. You are the witness of the memory at its keenest. You are the witness of the memory fading and not slowing down and not working so well. You are the same. Don't think you are any less because of that. You are not. It's just the phone has become older, the apps don't work so well at us. So, absolutely like that. It's just like that. It's a function. Those who are doctors can tell you it's just a function of the body, of your physiology. So, don't be worried about that at all. It's not you. It's the equipment. We're not denying it. We're not being escapist. We're admitting what it is. And do what you need to deal with it. Whether physical issue, mental issue, whatever. But it's not you. It's not a reflection on you at all. Samaha Shantaha, beyond all suffering. Satchidananda Lakshana. You are existence because you are unchanging. Chit, you are consciousness because you are the conscious witness of everything. You are Ananda. I'm justifying it right now. Naham deho hyasudrupa. I am not this false body, this appearance of a body. Jnanam ityuchyate buddhehi. This is what the wise call knowledge. Okay, we have a little bit of time. It's 5 now? What's the time now? 5:10? Okay. I will quickly go through these verses. 25. Nirvikaro nirakaro niravadyo ahamabhyaya naham deho yasadrupo jnanam ityuchyate budhehi. The wise call this knowledge. I am nirvikar. We just read it. I am the unchanging. I am nirakar. I am the formless. Here's another argument. The body has form. Even the mind has a form of its own because each mind is different from the other. So it has a kind of mental form. But I, the experiencer of them, I am formless because form is an attribute. Nirakara, niravadya, without any blemish whatsoever. Any kind of impurity, problem, it's in the body, it's in the mind. Niravadya, I am free from all blemishes, all problems. Aham abhyayaha, the undecaying one. The body may decay, the memory may fail. I am the undecaying one. I am the witness of the sharp memory. I am the witness of the failing memory. Naham deho yasadrupa. I am not this body, this false body which appears. This is called wisdom by the wise. 26. Niramayo nirabhaso nirvikalpo ahamatata naham deho yasadrupo jnanam ityuchyate budhehi. Jnanam ityuchyate budhehi. This is called knowledge by the wise masters of Vedanta. What is knowledge? Niramaya. I am beyond all disease. I am beyond all disease. Disease can affect the body, even the mind. Nirabhasa. This is a very technical term. I am beyond the reflected consciousness. Now see, this is what's happening. Imagine the sun there and a pot on the ground, pot full of water. In the water, a little sun will be reflected. Do you have the imagery in your mind? The real sun up in the sky, shining down. There's a pot in the garden maybe, and in the pot there is water. In the water, a tiny little sun will be there reflected. Now, compare the pot to the body, the water to the subtle body, the mind, and that little sun to the consciousness you and I feel just now. This is not the pure consciousness, not the Atman. This is called reflected consciousness. Chidabhasa. Drigdrishya Viveka talks about this. This is what we use to carry on our daily activities. Right now you are using that. That reflected consciousness with the mind and the eyes gives you the experience of seeing. That reflected consciousness within you, with the mind and the ears, is giving you right now the experience of hearing. All our experiences are because of that reflected consciousness working with the mind. It gives us experiences. The senses bring in data from the world outside, and the mind takes the form of that object, and the reflected consciousness in the mind reveals it. That is what is called anubhuti or experience. You might say, oh, so then this reflected consciousness is what I am. No, this reflected consciousness would not exist without. You are the real consciousness, the sun, which is reflected in the body mind, and you have forgotten yourself. As if the sun has forgotten itself and thinks that I am this pot. Now you have to convince the sun that you are not the pot. Okay, I am the water. You are not the water. Okay, I am the little sun reflected in the water. You are not the little sun reflected in the water. You are this, the one big sun. That's what they are trying to do. You can actually use that. You try to see, body is like a pot. Inside the body, within it, thoughts, feelings, awareness, and this is like a water. The awareness right now, that is like the reflected awareness. What is the real awareness? It will require a turn. You can't grasp it. You can't make it an object. It is you. But you can only be it. Don't worry. There are 2 sessions tomorrow which will enable you to do that. Tomorrow it's there. Nirvikalpo, I am without any divisions. We did that. Ekam, anekam, one, many. Aham, atataha. So nirabhasa. This word nirabhasa is I am not the reflected consciousness. Not only that, I am not something revealed by the reflected consciousness. You see, everything in the world is revealed by that reflected consciousness. Whatever you are experiencing is right now practically revealed by the reflected consciousness. It's like at night, moonlit night. So the world is awash in moonlight. Everything is illumined by moonlight. We're calling it moonlight, but it's not moonlight actually. It is? It's sunlight. It's actually sunlight reflected from the moon, but practically we call it moonlight. Yes. People would think you're really crazy if you keep correcting them. Say, what beautiful moonlight? No, it's sunlight. We can see the world in the moonlight. No, that's sunlight. People will think it's just a spoil sport. You have no poetic sense. Practically you can call it the moonlight, but you know that without sunlight, would that moonlight exist? No. And it is actually sunlight, reflected on the moon. Similarly, this consciousness, reflected consciousness, enables us to function in the day-to-day world. And all of this, none of this is theory. If you think of it as theory, you say, I learned something nice, philosophy. If you relate it to your practical experience right now, that's the beauty of Advaita. It does not wait for any extraordinary experience to come later on. It's talking about something present right here and obvious. The data is before you. Locate it within your experience. And that reflected consciousness is what we feel as awareness right now. So yeah, try it, body, check, it's there or not. Mind? No, you don't seem to be confident. Mindless? Zombies? Mind? Yes, check. Yes. And is it an aware mind or an unaware mind? Aware. That is the reflected consciousness. And the real unlimited consciousness, like the sun shining upon that body mind, is it there or not? That most people know, only 1 or 2 are nodding.
Yes. It's there, but how do I get there?
It's there, but how do I get there? It's an assumption, somebody saying it's philosophically, it's okay. I will tell you something. It's there as much as this body is there, as the mind is there, as the awareness in the mind is there. As you said, with that confidence, you can say it is there. Actually, with much more confidence. When Narendranath went and asked Mr. Ramakrishna, have you seen God? He said, yes, as I am seeing you, only more clearly. What does he mean, only more clearly? Does he need glasses? No. Let it be. You get enlightened, then you won't come for the next session. Alright. Nirabhasaha. The only thing that reflected consciousness cannot reveal is the real consciousness. Aham atataha, I am all pervading. You'll see how I'm all pervading. And so on it goes. This is our real nature. Only a couple of things more to point out. Real bombshell is coming next. But before that, one more thing. Verse number 39. It actually, up to verse number 38, actually it says you are not the body. But here 39, it just in one verse it says you are not the mind also. And it gives half a dozen reasons. You know, bam, 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 one after another. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 reasons in one verse. But you know these reasons already. And it says, because of these reasons, you are not the mind. These are 6 pointers. What are they? Let's see the 39th verse. You know them already. Lingam janeka sangyuktam jalam drishyam vikarija avyapaka avyapakam asadrupam tatkatham syat pumanayam. Lingam. The word lingam is another word for sukshma sharira. Linga sharira or sukshma sharira. Sukshma sharira means subtle body. The mind. Mind, intellect, memory. Linga sharira, sukshma sharira are both terms for the same thing. So you're not the physical body till now. Verse number 38, done. This one, you are not the subtle body also. You are not the mind, intellect. You are not the personality. Not that the personality is not there. It's there. When you say you are not the car, doesn't mean the car will disappear. Car is still there. You are not it. You are not the mind either. Why? Look at the words being used. Aneka sanyuktam. The mind is a composite of many. You are one, it is many. Chalam, this is a new one which I have not mentioned earlier. Chalam here means it is mobile. That means, what does it mean? The idea in Vedanta or in classical Hinduism is, in fact, why classical Hinduism? Every religion without exception is that there is something apart from the physical body, generally called the soul. In Vedanta it's called the Sukshma Sharira, subtle body. When the physical body dies, it falls apart and the subtle body still exists. That's the one which goes to other bodies, goes to heaven and hell, and is reborn in other bodies and continues. That's the one which distinguishes each of us. We are separate jivas, sentient beings, because of that subtle body. Physical bodies, we have had many. We have had other lives earlier. That's the idea in Indian religions. But even in the Abrahamic religions, in Judaism, Christianity, Islam, every religion, in fact religion cannot survive without this idea of a subtle body. If physical body is everything, then once the physical body is gone, you're finished. Where is the question of God, heaven, afterlife? Nothing. Where is the question of freedom, moksha? Nothing. So, the subtle body is chalam. It goes from body to body. It moves from body to body. And you are the unmoving experiencer of that. You experienced it there, you experience it here, you will experience it in another life. So, I am the constant experiencer of this moving subtle body. Moving here means transmigrating. Drishyam, can you recognize this reason? Drashta and Drishya.
Yes.
The body, the subtle body, mind is something which is seen. Not with these eyes, with the consciousness, with awareness. Next one, can you recognize Vikari, changing?
Yes.
Savikara, Nirvikara, changing, unchanging. Then there is one cha. Cha means and. Cha here, actually there is a commentary on this verse which says that this cha refers to the causal body also. There is some, actually technically speaking, there is physical body, subtle body, causal body. Stula Sharira, Sukshma Sharira, Karana Sharira. Karana Sharira, basically the causal body is nothing other than the ignorance which hides our real self from us. It's not a body with hands and feet. It's ignorance, ajnana. That's what we experience in deep sleep, for example. So this cha, it says these reasons apply to that subtle body also, that causal body also. For that reason, you are not the causal body also. Avyapakam, another reason which I have not given you. The subtle body is not all pervasive. You are all pervasive. It does not pervade. That means, what it means is, there are certain conditions in which you are there but the subtle body is not there. Example, what? Deep sleep. Sushupti, deep sleep. You don't experience an external world, you don't experience the physical body, you don't even experience the mind because it has shut down. Basically, whose deep sleep? Not the deep sleep of consciousness. It's the deep sleep of the mind. The mind goes into deep sleep. So you, the consciousness, do not experience the mind also. That's the Vedantic idea of deep sleep. Avyapakam. There is a condition in which you are there, but the mind is not there. Asatrupam. You are Satyam, the mind is Mithya. This I will not explain now. Tat katham syat pumanayam. The six reasons. See? Ekam anekam, number one. You are one, mind is composed of many. Achalam chalam. You are the unmoving way of consciousness and the mind moves from life to lifetime. One lifetime to another lifetime. Drashta drishya. Nirvikara savikara. Number 4. Avyapakam, avyapakam, number 5. Pervasive, not pervading. So like deep sleep, you are there but mind is not there. So that's number 5. Satya mithya. Sadrupa, sadrupa. So 6 reasons have been given why you are not the mind. You cannot be the mind. It is radically different from you, the mind. Tat katham syat pumanayam. How can I am this person, the reality that you are, how can you be the mind? So what have we got so far? Let's consolidate. I am the unchanging witness consciousness, one, attributeless. of a physical body and a subtle mind, of a body-mind system, of this gross body and subtle body and causal body. Sthula Sukshma Karana Sharira in Sanskrit. Sthula Sukshma Karana Sharira Vilakshana Atma. I am the self separate from the physical, subtle and causal body-mind system. They are something different, I am different. They are here, I am in them, but I am not them. Right? Just like the light which pervades this entire room, but it's not the room. Light can exist without the room, room can exist without the light. They're two separate things. It lights up the room, that's it. You are like the light and the body-mind system is like the room. Just another example. This is what we have got so far. To be understood, to be thought about, the next verse is the bombshell. It's going to tell us, you got it? Yes. It's all wrong. I don't mean a word of it. What do you mean it's all wrong? He says, this cannot be correct. Two things are separate. When I say two things are separate, what have I proved? I've basically proved that the two things are real. When I say these two are separate, then this is separate from this, then these two exist, right?
Yeah.
How can you speak about their separation if they don't exist, or if one does not exist? Two things are separate from each other, one is not the other, which means there are two realities. How can it be non-dualism? How can it be Advaita? All that you have proven, you know what you have achieved so far. Earlier what we thought was, I exist and I stop at this skin. Up to this I am. Beyond this skin is not me. Here is space, here are chairs, here are men and women. Here is a vast wide world apart from me. I am this much. This is what we thought so far. Now what do we think? Now from my identity I have excluded the body, I have excluded the mind, and I am the witness consciousness of mind, body and external world also. I have just shifted the border of what I am. This is nowhere near Advaita. Actually, in one sense, it's not a small achievement, it's a great achievement. This is the point at which Sankhya philosophy stops. This is the point at which Yoga philosophy stops. Patanjali Yoga, Sankhya, stop here. You are witness consciousness apart from material nature. Purusha apart from Prakriti. You know this, and that's it. Stop here. Finished. And that's the kind of liberation. Let the world continue with the way it is. You are untroubled. What is troubled? Body is troubled. What is troubled? Mind is troubled. But you are not the body and mind. So you are free of this body and mind. That is where Sankhya philosophy stops, Yoga philosophy stops, Nyaya philosophy stops, but not Advaita, as we shall see. What was being done so far? Why did we do this? We will see. I will leave it to the next session so that you come back for the next session. Alan Watts, he said, if very, very humorous and mischievous also, he said, if religion is the opium of the masses, then I must say that the Hindus have the inside dope. If you want the inside dope, next session. So far what we have done is not Advaita. But why did we do it? And you will see. Let me conclude with the bombshell. It is verse number 41. इत्यात्मदेह भागेन प्रपञ्चस्यैव सत्यता यथोक्ता तर्कशास्त्रेण ततः किं पुरुषार्थता. So what we have accomplished till now, Atma Deha Bhaga. 41. Atma Deha Bhaga. Bhaga means division. Deha, body mind complex. Atma, self. I have been able to see this body mind as apart from me, at least in my understanding. So far we must at least say. At least second stage. Remember the three stages: hearing, reflecting, meditating. Hearing means I know the teaching, reflecting means I understand the teaching, meditating means at the end of it, it's a reality for me. So at least the second stage, I understand the teaching. That this division of into witness, consciousness and everything else, all you have done is prapanchasyaiva satyata. You have proven the reality of the universe. Two things are separate, means two things are real. Two real separate things. You have just proven the reality of the universe. You have just proven the reality of duality, Dvaita. And this is the conclusion of other philosophies. Tarkashastra refers to Nyaya philosophy. Nyaya philosophy, Vaisheshika philosophy, Yoga philosophy, Sankhya philosophy. They all talk about difference, Veda, separation. You are the Atman separate from everything else. Tata kim purusharthata. What goal of human life will be served thereby? Of course, they will say the highest goal is served, but Advaita says no, this is not enough. This is not non-dualism, this is not Advaita. That is in the next session. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanastu. Sorry, I did not give you time. We have got 5 minutes. Maybe a couple of quick questions. But in next session you'll have enough time for interaction. Everybody has been separated from the body and mind. Can't ask questions. Alright, there are 3 quickly. The gentleman there, yes. Please tell us your name and ask a question.
Chris, and I find it very convincing, and it's too bad tomorrow's different. No, that's what I'm wondering is, what do you tell someone who is convinced that they do change? And I am the body, I change, and eventually I'll go. In other words, they don't have this assumption that I'm changing to measure the other. I'm not the body, I'm not the mind. No, I'm those things, and it decays, and I'm gone. I'm wondering, I feel like I would tell them something. What about your experience, and get them to reflect on who's watching the changes?
Right. Correct. See, the first question is, do they have a need for it at all? If a person says, I'm not suffering, I'm fine with it. I'll be dead and gone, I have no problems now, I have no problem with dying and not existing at all. Alright, let them be. There's no need to go out and convert people to the Vedanta point of view. Just let them be. People will come around anyway. Suffering is a great teacher. I have a problem. Now you see, once you solve the problems of making a living, the struggle for getting a comfortable life is so strong in, say, third world economies or in ancient societies. Very few people have the opportunity or time for this kind of subtle thinking. Now when you have solved those problems to a great extent, and you find, when you thought you'd be happy and everything would be, what's the word, hunky-dory? It isn't. It isn't. I often say the potential for real spirituality lies in these countries, where what you will notice is a quick decline in conventional religion, but also like a groundswell of inquiry, unsatisfied spiritual inquiry. And I find that happening in the advanced countries of the West, or in the East, is a place like Singapore, Japan. You find this query coming. It goes along with the decline in conventional religion. In US also, there was some survey. The number of nuns is increasing, not the NUN kind, NONE kind. And it's well, tell me which religion you belong to, and they tick none. It's like more than 20% or something of the newer generation. So maybe a quarter of the population, or more than that, is saying, I don't belong to any religion. They are not interested in conventional religion, but that does not mean they are not spiritual. They have a question in the mind. And so a query, what am I really? Or driven by suffering. How do I transcend? If there is no material problem, if there is no social problem, there is an existential problem. This very existence is somehow dissatisfied. That's the deepest meaning of the Buddhist term dukkha. Something out of harmony in life, not deeply pleasing. So that will bring them around. And it doesn't always have to be in this path. This requires a kind of inquiring mind, a sensitive, trained, inquiring mind. The advantage of this path is, there are many advantages. One is, notice how completely impersonal it is. It doesn't expect you to be a Hindu or a Christian or a theist or an atheist or a Buddhist, anybody. As Ramana Maharshi said, do you say I? If you say I, you can use this path. It's impersonal. It's extraordinarily logical and persuasive. If you begin to follow the arguments, you almost kind of cannot deny it. I've talked to scientists who are not at all convinced. One scientist said to me, Swami, what you said, I'm not convinced by what you said, but I can't find a flaw in it. That's the position that they are pushed to. Yeah.
But
There was a wait, there's some other hands. Done?
Yeah, Shekhar Bhattacharya, that's my name, and I have a quick question. Like, when the science of biology improved and all that, we started talking about, okay, the brain cells are there, so thinking is there, but during like the Advaita time when the philosophy developed, was there any concept of where the thinking process is taking place? Is it brain? So right now, if I say I'm thinking, I'm always pointing here.
Right. If you look at the text, mostly they point to the heart, Hridaya. But Hridaya means heart, but not the physical heart. They did not think the physical heart was the brain, but they felt here. But if you look at Shankara's commentary, it's very interesting. He says Hridaya, there's a term used in the Upanishads, Guha, Hridaya Guha, the cave of the heart. Shankara says this means Buddhi Guha, the cave of the intellect. See how subtly he has changed it from a physical connotation to Buddhi Guha. Now there also he does not say it's in the head. I don't think the ancient people had very much idea of the brain and nerve. They had an idea of the nervous system because they talk about a very complex system of nadis they speak about. But not, I don't think too much mention is made of the brain. So that is a contribution of modern brain science and modern biology and so on. Yes. In fact, to your point, the real point would be the dominant thinking today is what is called a materialist reductive approach. That basically it's the body. The body is generating consciousness. It's not a consciousness apart from the body. It's a body is generating consciousness. What are you? You are basically a body. Yes, you are consciousness, mind, but all of that is generated by the body. Without the body, you don't exist. That's the mainstream thinking in modern science and medicine. Advaita does not agree with that, obviously. Now, where is the connection? Where is the point where you can explore this difference? The point is what is nowadays called the hard problem of consciousness. Luckily today, we have people who are not coming from an Eastern philosophy point of view. David Chalmers, for example. He has coined this term, the hard problem of consciousness, that there is literally no way in which we can show how a physical system like the brain is generating consciousness. Not that everybody agrees with him. Most people do not agree with him. And there's a huge debate going on. If you Google it, hard problem of consciousness, enormous debate going on now. But luckily, I'm saying it's lucky because here you have somebody who clearly says, I'm an atheist, I'm a materialist, and I do not come from any Eastern philosophy background, which is good. Recently I had a conversation with Deepak Chopra in Manhattan, and he was saying that, in Vedanta, Swami, there is no, before the talk in the green room, he was saying, there's no hard problem of consciousness. I said, that's right. I understand what you're saying, but it's not helpful to put it that way. If you shut the door, they're just now beginning to, they've discovered the door, not even opened it. Now if you say, we have solved it 5,000 years ago, that's not helpful. You see, yes, there is a hard problem of consciousness, and yes, here are not only Advaita, here are all the Indian philosophies, they have their own take on it. Let us use it. And remember, it's not that we have solved it once for all. The way that modern scientists are approaching it, that's a unique way which has not been used earlier. That's a way through the body, through neuroscience. So that way has to be encouraged. And it is going on. Encouraged means it's unstoppable. It's going on now. So, in fact, in November, I don't know if this is going to happen or should I openly declare this on you. There's a scientist, Steve Michel. He is a leading neuroscientist and geneticist from Trinity College in Dublin. So he's coming to he has written a book called Innate, where he says everything that we are is basically depends on the wiring of our brains. That's it. Our genes and the way our brains are wired, that's who we are. There is no separate thing what we are talking about right now, what all this we did today. He said, no, it's just the body. So he's challenged me to a debate. There's going to be a debate in Manhattan from this point of view and that point of view. That's the mainstream scientific point of view. So we are going to in New York. So that's in November, late November. Yes.
So, Swami, those 5 arguments are really powerful, but I still have some difficulty with this idea that I'm linked to my body because I seem to have this high degree of autonomy over my body. Like I can just snap my fingers, but I can't manipulate external matter in the same way. So are there any arguments to that tackle that? Or
that is explained by what you say. I can manipulate the body, at least to some extent I can do it. It's because of that reflected consciousness. It's that reflected consciousness there with the mind and the physical body which says I have some control over this. Actually we don't really have much control. We have some control. There are enormous processes going on in this body right now over which I thankfully have no control. I would make a mess of it. If we are given full charge of this body, we'll probably die in a few hours. Nature keeps it alive. And even the autonomy that we have, there are experiments called the Benjamin Libet experiments, for example, which show that most of it is illusion. We really don't have much control over the physical systems. Anyway, the point is, it's one mind, one reflected consciousness. It's like the little sun in one pot, in the water in one pot, saying, why can't I control the other pot if I am the sun in all pots? From that one reflected sun in the water there, from that vantage point, you have control over only that pot. But from the real sun's point of view, you will see you are reflected in every mind and body. But you don't, that exercising voluntary control is at the level of the mind and intellect. It's not really at the level of pure consciousness. The pure consciousness, it is just isness. We'll come to you quickly.
Hi.
Time up. Yeah, ask the question.
My name is Vandana. So you touched on the causal body and you said that's the ignorance.
The Anandamaya Kosha, yes.
So could that be the reason that we are not able to reach that awareness?
Right. We are that awareness. I wouldn't even want you to use the language reach that awareness. You are that awareness, but you're not aware of being that. Because of that ignorance. And that ignorance is what makes us individuated into jivas, separate sentient beings. After that individuated jiva becomes associated with a single mind and with a single body, and then we find ourselves as separate beings. That one consciousness actually is same for everybody. Gita says, Krishna says to Arjuna, Avibhaktam cha bhuteshu vibhaktam iva cha sthita. One undivided in all beings. I appear to be divided. Appear to be divided here. We appear to be divided. But actually it's one undivided consciousness. It's because of that that's why it's called causal, not casual, causal body. Karana. Karana means that which generates us as individual sentient beings. The questions.
Is this philosophy of Advaita, where does the concept of life as we know it fit in?
Oh, much further down the scale. Pranamaya. Here is the physical body. Inside this body, there are a lot of physiological functions going on. Most obvious of which is breathing. So when you do pranayama in yoga, control of the breathing, right now it's like people have been reminded to breathe. Pranayama, control of the breath. So breath is not itself just prana, it's just a most obvious manifestation of prana. Prana is all the vital functions, what you might call life. So everything, the physiological functions in the body, the blood circulating, the air pumping in and out of the lungs, the assimilation of food, all of that. The generation of energy, the rejuvenation of the body, the growth of the body, all of that is prana. Higher than that is mind, higher than that is intellect, higher means subtler, inner is the causal body. Inner to that, all of this is the real self.
So when you die,
Now use Vedantic terms, when the body dies.
when the body dies,
Yes.
so it dies at to the prana level. So to
Right. In fact, when the body dies, now you can use the terminology. Now when you look back upon the language used in India, pran tyag gaye, pran nikal gaye, the life has gone, you say life has gone out of him.
Yes.
So basically what happens at physical death is the physical body dies, it can no longer support the subtle body. Subtle body includes the prana. Subtle body is like the battery pack. It gives energy, it maintains life. So the physical body can no longer sustain it. So it packs itself up, goes to the cloud as it were, leaves the broken physical body, which falls apart, goes back to nature. That one now, according to its past karma, gets a new physical body. You go to Apple store and get a new phone now, and then download the data from the cloud. So
That's the jiva.
that package is the jiva. That's what we consider ourselves as individual beings. The new information technology makes this explanation actually much easier to understand. Yeah. Right. You had a comment?
This is just a comment.
Yes.
You know, most of the Chinese people have most of the Chinese people have no religion.
Yeah.
And if you ask them, so how do you deal with it? What do you think? Because Mao started at the time, there's no religions going to them. So they have no curiosity about all the things that you are telling about this principle. The major problem they have, not having any religion, when the crisis comes, they have nothing to hold on.
Correct. Are you speaking from experience? Are you a doctor or a...
Yeah.
Right. This is an interesting insight. I did not know this, but I would expect it. Yes.
Can you repeat the question?
He said he has seen among the Chinese people there is no exposure to religion as such, because in China, from Mao's time onwards, it was crushed out ruthlessly. And we also have no curious or interest. If you have no idea about it, you wouldn't have curiosity about it either. But what he said was that in times of crisis, there is no support system, nothing to hold on to. That is true. Let alone Advaita, any kind of religion. Carl Jung, he said the two major causes of illness after middle age in human beings. He says two things he says. One is the cause is a fear of death. Second one is an estrangement from one's church. That means from one, doesn't mean that your particular church or your particular religion, any kind of belief system. Something that you find life-sustaining, joyful, real. It has to be real. Even if it's my particular religion or church and I don't feel at home in it, it won't work for me. So it has to be a real life-sustaining. And Jung said, I always try to send people back to some kind of religious belief, whatever they can find acceptable. It works. Correct. So what is the announcement now? We need some prana.